Alright, now we have Moby from Red Pandas who's going to, in 20 minutes.
20. You said 25. You said 25. You gave me 5 minutes. Oh my God.
Moby's trying to negotiate extra time, but I'm going to keep him on time.
Thank you guys. Thank you, Ian. So big thank you to everyone. It's a pleasure to present in front of you guys again. You can hear me? Okay, awesome. Thank you. And particularly tonight, because as I understand, Ian, I think tonight's a record night, right? We actually sold out, which is awesome, so a big thank you. And I know that because I read your emails, Craig. I really do read your emails, and I really appreciate them. They're amongst my favourite. So thank you, Craig. There you go, unsung hero. Give him a clap. Give him a clap. There you go. He does all the work, really. We just come up and talk. But anyway, I'll be super swift. We've got an amazing panel tonight, which I can't wait to hear from. So I'm the only thing standing between them and that panel. So let's crack on with it. The first thing you guys are thinking about is, what on earth is this bloke going to talk about? Maturity model. Now, truth to be told, I didn't really know about 3 weeks ago, so I kind of left it a bit vague. But this whole thing came about because HubSpot is a real pain in the bum sometimes. And Dave Shepherd's there. I'm sorry, the good part's coming, I promise. HubSpot can be a real pain because they release all these new features, all these new tools. They're like killing like funnels and stuff. What did the funnel ever do to you, Dave Shepherd? And introducing flywheels, hashtag the funnel lives. They're introducing all this stuff, right? And it's a full-time job for us to keep on top of it, right? We do this every single day. What's new? What can we use? What can we kind of look at? And I guess we all got to talking, and what we kind of realized is there kind of needs to be like a maturity model, like a crawl before you can kind of run model. What can you sort of do to really kind of maximize HubSpot? Because a lot of the times, I'm sure I can speak for the rest of the co-leaders here, is we'll jump into a portal and the stuff that you're already paying for, and that's the key. I'm going to be talking about stuff you're already paying for, isn't being optimized. I don't work for HubSpot, I'm not going to get any commission, I don't really care whether you buy the thing or not. I want you to maximize it if you're already paying for it, right? So, does this thing even work? Okay, there we go. Let me go back. One thing about me, and I promise this is linked, is I hate board games. I really hate playing these things. And it's not because I'm bad. I wipe the floor with my 5 and 7-year-olds on a weekly basis. I'm really good, but I'm very, very competitive. And one of the games I really hate is this one here. Does anyone know what this is? What? There we go, Trivial Pursuit. So Tony introduced me to this. I don't know what that says about Tony, but he introduced me to this game. And the idea of the game, if you haven't played it before, is you go around the board and you try to, I guess, be the master of all these, these 6 wedges, right? So you master an area and you get a wedge. Good luck for you, right? You keep moving around and the first person who gets all 6 wedges wins. Great, awesome. Now I love my analogy, so I thought, and I actually looked at this thing, right? There's a bit of a cult following behind this. Some people are just a little bit insane. There's a Friends version, there's a Harry Potter version, there's a Rick and Morty version. So I thought, you know what? There really needs to be a HubSpot version, right? So I'm calling this, thank you. I'm calling this the HubSpot Maturity Model Edition. And the idea is there's 6 key areas of, and really guys, this is really HubSpot marketing. So I will touch on service a little bit, sales a little bit, but it's really HubSpot marketing, Marketing Pro. There's 6 key areas, albeit subjective, that you guys need to maximize and take advantage of to, dare I say, win the game, right? So that's, I guess, the premise behind this. Now, the first one is lead status ID. Now, I'm very conscious of these things as the night goes on. This mic really sucks, eh? Okay, fine, let's see how we go. I'm conscious as the night goes on, people's attention spans kind of go down and people start fidgeting and don't really care. So I'm starting with the most complicated and subjective one. Now, I do things a little bit differently. We find this works, but I guess bear with me. I need your help here. Hands up who's using HubSpot. Yep, keep your hands up. Keep your hands up if you're using even just a little bit life cycle stages. Okay, I know this is going in and out, sorry. Keep your hands up if you use life cycle stages even just a little bit. All right, awesome. Put your hand up if you use deal stages. Okay, that's interesting, it's a rough sort of split. Now, cool, thank you guys. Now the thing about these are awesome, they're great, they're fine, and the idea is, particularly on the life cycle stages, is it's your buyer's journey. right? So what is your buyer's journey from someone who doesn't know you to the time they become a customer and then an evangelist? That's the premise. But there's a couple of issues with deal stages and life cycle stages. Now, I'm not here to tell you to stop using them. If anything, I'm telling you to augment them, how you get more out of them, essentially. Now, the issue is life cycle stages are too generic, right? If you've ever tried to kind of do MQL equals this, and SQL equals that, and opportunity equals this, when you look at the reports, it's very difficult, unless you have a glossary, to figure out what all those things mean. It's still a great report, it's still great, but it's not your language. Like, we work with a lot of education providers, and with education providers, if you're going to get government funding, you have to have like an Australian citizen, you have to meet these eligibility criteria. So what about that stage, those specific criteria? Wouldn't it be awesome to report on that? That's one thing. The second point is you don't want or necessarily need to build a pipeline. Not everyone needs to build a pipeline, particularly low-touch businesses, particularly when sales and marketing might be in one function. And finally, you do need a sales pipeline, but there are a series of stages before it's worth being an opportunity. And stay with me here, right? This is probably the most complex part, and then after that, it's all pretty pictures and colouring in and stuff marketers enjoy. Now, so you've got life cycle stages. We understand life cycle stages. You've got subscriber, lead, so on and so forth. And then you have lead status stages and deal stages. And so let me work through an example here. This is for a client that work in the consulting space, in the B2B consulting space. There are a series of steps that are important to them, but they need to do those before they actually open up a deal. So, to give you an example, they got subscriber, new, nurturing, qualified, and qualified is someone who, they're the right size for us, they have the right budget for us, they're in the right industry, they're qualified. If I just rely on life cycle stages, I can still do this in a report, but then I have to remember, MQL, was it MQL, SQL, it's just a pain in the bum, right? And then the point is, again, it's not a replacement, there's a like for like here. There's a point after discovery and qualification where they become an open deal. And that is when the deal stage pipeline opens. For this particular client, right? This is just one particular example. And there's a like for like. So customer or say application closed might equal closed one, might equal customer. Now, this is the key part. To keep all this in sync, you need workflows. There are the workflows that we know and love, like the customer ones, but then there's what we call system workflows. So if lead status equals customer, then HubSpot, I want you to automatically change lifecycle stage to customer, for example. So that will automate it for you. You don't need to work in 2 or 3 different systems. Now, awesome, I think you guys get it, but why on earth would you do this? Like, really, to make it clear. 2 key things, right? So wedge 1 takeaways. For this is, the whole point of HubSpot really, particularly the marketing side for me, is the tool is designed to move people through the buyer's funnel. That's all it's really designed to do. All the other funky stuff is all cool and whatnot, but it's supposed to move someone through the life cycle stages or the deal stages or the lead status stages, whatever you want to call them. It's designed to move people through them. So when you define it like this, you can have workflows. The last example I'll give you here is in the RTO space or the education space. Someone might fill out an inquiry, but we're still not sure whether we can serve them, whether they're an Australian resident, for example. Now, you can call them and ask them, but why not automate that? Why not bubble the leads to the top? I always talk about that. Send them an autoresponder. Ask them, hey, 3 quick questions so we can better find a course provider for you. Automate that, and then if they click on a button or they do a series of things, it will move them to the next status. And that's bubbling the warmest leads for your sales reps. The second thing is a segue to my next part. So that's wedge 1, right? Wedge 2 is reporting. Now the reports on this thing are epic. By the way, like I said, these are all things that you already have. Now this is using the free reporting. Late last year, HubSpot HubSpot did a really funny thing. They made reporting free, but they didn't say they did. Like, we're all complaining and make it free sort of thing. And they're like, oh, we're going to release some functionality. Oh, hello? We're going to release some functionality, but we're not going to admit we made it free, because if we do that, you're going to ask for everything and everything will be free. Right? So it's kind of funny, but it's really cool. We really, really appreciate it. So the point is, with the dashboard, you can have 1 dashboard for free and 10 reports for free. 10, right? If you want any more, you're going to have to pay for it, but you can do this with the free part. Now, this is the report I was telling you about. On one axis, you have those lead stages, right? The custom stages for your business. This is for a client who is in the MMA space, like martial arts sort of thing. And they have like a couple of stages. You have to have a free trial, you have to apply, you have to do a tryout. So tryout for them is kind of like customer. So we have that down there. Then, and this is the really cool part, you can cross that by anything you want. For example, product as a column or service as a column. You want to compare that against your sales reps. Have sales reps A, B, C. In this particular case, we have locations. So we've got lead statuses, but we don't really care too much for the aggregate. We want to know the actual location. Leichhardt is doing pretty well. Perth is doing even better, right? So I've got locations. There's a little bit of customization. It's very, very light. This is like a basic maturity model, so it's nothing you guys can't handle. The other, so that was, what do I call that? Okay, I call that lead status. This is lead source. Now this is another, I guess, housekeeping thing. Okay, cool, right, lead source. Now, HubSpot obviously has original source and it works pretty well, you know, organic and it will give you where the source of your contacts came from. But it really struggles, and it's not supposed to do well here, it struggles if you add something manually. Or how many times have you uploaded a spreadsheet and it says offline source? Like, it's not great. So we really recommend, it's fun, it's amazing how many times we see this, that you set up your custom lead sources. Then you can do stuff like this on the free dashboard. On the left, I've got new customers by source, and on the right, I've got leads or contacts by source. For this particular client, they still do flyer handouts, like actually sending out flyers. They do billboards like the old school billboards outside. It still works for them, so be it, let them do it. But we can track that. If we rely on original sources, we can't get that data. So that's another one. Those were like the very, very, honestly, like so easy to use. If you know how to use Facebook, you can use this sort of stuff. There's a ton of value even in the free out-of-the-box ones. Like when you create your report, you say add like a module, and they're already made for you. You don't even have to customize them. I'm going to share two quick ones that I really like. One is average days to close by source. So I can see here, this is for someone to become a customer, and this is actually sample data. I don't know who on earth closes from social media in 6 days, right? But anyway, so 6 days social media or paid social, referrals take 12 days according to this report. So I can see what's the velocity of my different sources. Awesome. And this is a different one. This is returning contacts. Really, really valuable and recommended if you're in B2B. So what this is returning contacts. So for a particular date range, I can have this on my dashboard or the dashboard of my sales reps. They can come in and they can see, oh, cool, okay, Vanny or, you know, Gary, all these names are fake. Hulin, Jazz, Gil, Vanny, who, whatever, right? But actual people who've come in and I can see, oh, cool, these people have visited my website in the last X days. Out of the box, you don't have to do anything. So, wedge 2 takeaways. Check the out-of-the-box reports that are already there, and spend a little bit of time and set up the custom lead source or lead status reports if they apply to you. Maybe not lead status, but definitely lead source. I think that should apply to everyone in this room. Number 3. Okay, cool. Paid media. This is pretty cool. Now, this one kind of slowly just kind of creeped up on us. There's obviously an ads paid add-on, and that lets you, I think, track more than $10,000 per month, something like that. But this is using the free. If you're spending less than 10K, you can still track that data in the ads section. So I think you go to ads and reports and you see this data. Now, this is really cool. I can see here that for this particular period, from my AdWords and Facebook ads, or LinkedIn, if we were doing LinkedIn, I can see X amount of clicks, contacts, customers, how much money we spent, the ROI, or lack thereof in this example, from Facebook and AdWords, all in one group. Now, it's okay, it's not bad, but let's dig a little bit deeper. The point about this is the columns are customizable, so you can add some extra columns, click-through rate, a whole bunch of stuff. So, on this one, this looks pretty cool. Okay, this AdWords campaign, Sydney Generic, looks like it's attained for me the most contacts. But if I source by ROI, it doesn't even register. It doesn't register at all. Like brand is a funny one because brand campaigns do very well when the other marketing is doing really well, right? But if we ignore brand for a second, the top 3 are this Rosebery retargeting, Sydney video retargeting, and Sydney. they're getting 440% ROI, 95% ROI, 88% ROI. The one that had the most customers or leads in the previous report, we're actually making a loss on at minus 43%. So even though it looks good on one report, it's actually costing us more money than it might be worth. Cool, wedge 3 takeaways. Connect your ad accounts. You can connect Facebook, AdWords, LinkedIn quite easily. And this is a little gotcha. Turn on ad tracking. Because I did this yesterday with a couple of clients, and both of them, when I went into settings for Facebook, ad tracking wasn't turned on automatically. So check that you have that, and then you'll be able to see from Facebook how many contacts and customers you've got. If you don't turn that on, you won't see it. But even if you forget, HubSpot guides you pretty well. Sales enablement. Now, this one is interesting because most of the time when HubSpot is brought on, it's usually brought on by the marketing team. Sometimes sales team, and even sometimes IT. Sometimes it will come through from the IT function. Now, that's all cool, but the thing is sales reps are used to doing things their own way. You know, if it's done a particular way, why fix it if it's not broken? Data is great, and those reports about average days to close and all that is really, really good, but the inertia of change stumps most people. So a couple of tips. Now, this again is using the free version of CRM. For those of you who don't know, or for those of any of you who are not on HubSpot, the CRM is free, right? It rides underneath the Service Hub, it rides underneath the Marketing Pro, it's just there. You can use this to build a business case to do things like Sales Starter and Sales Pro. Now, even with the free one, you get 5 free templates you get 5 templates and you get 5 sequences. A sequence is just like a workflow, right? So sales rep drops off a proposal, 3 days later, how's it going? You know, I haven't heard from you. 2 days later, another email. And if they reply before that, the sequence stops. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty cool. It's like light workflows. And then templates are awesome as well. Templates are great, but you only get 5, right? But the point is to build a business case. This thing, it's amazing. Like if you're using this won't surprise you, but this blows sales reps' minds. The fact that you can integrate HubSpot CRM with Google, G Suite, and Office 365. And we like to not turn this on by default. By default, you can have all your emails tracked. But you know, what if people have gotten up? I won't go into detail here, but people have gotten in trouble sending memes and stuff that they shouldn't have. They don't really want to track that. So we generally recommend if there's anything personal, whatever, don't leave it on by default. Just switch on the emails. I'm sending this email. I want this one to be tracked. So you can do it selectively. Not a problem at all. It's amazing when sales reps see this. Like, oh my God, this guy opened this 5 times. He clicked on this many links. It blows their mind. So highly, highly recommend that. And that's free. It's just business intel for you to help onboard, kind of onboard sales from your side. Meetings are cool. It's very, very obvious. We've all kind of been subject to this. But what you can do with this is embed them, right? So I'd recommend you embed these things on like a WordPress page or a HubSpot page. Embed them on a Contact Us page. If you have a remarketing page, embed them. It works quite well. Wedge 4 takeaways. Install a plugin and try piloting meetings, sequences, and templates with a key sales ally. 5, marketing funnel gaps. Now this one really isn't a HubSpot one. It is, but it isn't, and I'll explain. The thing is, HubSpot does a really, really good job about, they espouse this all the time at their events and whatnot, that just because you have a contact in your database, that doesn't give you permission to sell to them. It really doesn't. It doesn't. It gives you permission to start a conversation with them, start to nurture them, start to kind of take them onto that journey, take them through those stages we spoke about. That's what it's really designed for. Most of the times though, and this is not wrong, you're supposed to start on bottom of funnel. You're supposed to start on an inquiry comes in, what am I going to do with that inquiry? Am I going to send autoresponders? Am I going to notify people? Am I going to push them to a free trial, consultation? You're supposed to start bottom of funnel, but the problem is when you just focus on bottom of funnel. So the idea here is be a little bit more strategic, look at each stage, and possibly think about a key hero marketing campaign, and then think about the HubSpot connections to those. I'll give you an example, top of funnel, use workflows. So for example, I've written here at the awareness stage, calculators, tools, then I've done content strategy. I put content on purpose, because it's not enough just to blog now. It's really not. You have to, one thing that works really well is creating tools or calculators. And at the end of it, speaking of, do you want the fries with that sort of thing, at the end of it, you can say, hey, do you want someone to contact you? Not a problem at all. That works really, really great. you can use workflows that upsell them to the next stage, the middle, middle of funnel stage. Here, I've got webinars, seminars, social media live. You can take chunks from those. Like if we're filming this, oh hello, we're filming this now. I'm kind of worried that Ian is silencing me. You're not silencing me? No, you're not doing it on purpose. All right, 1 minute. Okay, awesome. We'll get through it. I'm feeling I'm getting sabotaged here. No? All right, good. So, so for example, if we were to cut this up, I could cut this up into 6 wedges or 6 different videos. I can use that in my nurturing sequence. Hello. I can use that in my nurturing sequence, right? Finally, decision stage. Booking a demo, consultation, those sort of things. I think we start on those first. I'm not going to spend time on those. It's the other stages you've got to worry about. So the takeaways here is consider investing time in one hero, top of funnel or middle of funnel activity that you can build HubSpot tactics around. Even simple things that you don't think you could do, like this is a Facebook Live thing we did for a client. And throughout the whole thing, and afterwards we said, hey guys, because she's like a global chef or something. At the end of it, we said, guys, go to this website and you'll get a free recipe book. So it's kind of like the do you want fries with that. And if they come into that, they get nurtured and they get workflowed, and we eventually try to sell to them too, right? Number 6, extend automation to the service function. Really, really quickly, there's all these stats here about how great referrals are and whatnot, but if I was to ask you, where's your source of, your best quality source of traffic or customer, you'd probably say referral. Sure, there's Service Hub and it's awesome and it's great, but I guess the takeaway I would sort of have here is you really need to tick off the other wedges first, because if you kind of do the other parts right, you have a business case, and I'll give you some examples on how you do that. The first thing is use your customer service function to help create your content. This is a video that Tasha did there. I'm going to embarrass her. That's what she looks like. That's what she looks like on video. This is a video that she did, how to create UTM parameters in HubSpot. The only reason we did this is because we kept getting asked this question. And it might be simple for us because we're in it every day, but it's not for people who aren't in it. So we created some content around it. And you can use this whilst you're trying to sell Service Hub, or at the same time, or maybe before. It works quite well. There is an evangelist stage in HubSpot. Remember the life cycle stages after customer is evangelist? Show the business how big or small that is, right? If you ran a list, probably most of you would have 0, not because you don't have evangelists, but you haven't been using that field yet. So showing that to the business, I think, is quite powerful. And once you have those, they're going to ask you, what are you going to do with them? Send them referrals, like send them emails. Hey, that's really awesome. Do you mind rating us on Yelp or Google or whatever's pertinent to your industry? But the key is you're only sending them to evangelists. You're not sending it to, because that could open up a can of worms if you sort of send it to everyone. So that's it. We spoke about lead status stages, keeping some of the fundamentals in place, reporting to ensure that you actually can do something with your data. There's a bit of a lag on this thing. Paid media, sales enablement, marketing funnel gaps, a bit more on the strategy side, and finally extending it to other functions once you do the other wedges. The key is, this is killing me, these Google Slides. We're not doing it again, we're doing PowerPoint from now on. Google Slides, my butt. Win the game by mastering each wedge to avoid feeling like you're in a trivial pursuit of HubSpot. Do you get that? Not bad. Yes.